Alright. Playing against a gold deck this time. This is another one of those hands that I looked at and immediately thought that I needed to ship before remembering, oh yeah, this is actually a hand with 3 lands and most of our colors. It would be easier to do good stuff with this hand if we had another black source for Sorin, so hopefully we draw that. Blue-red, okay. I don't think it's worth holding up Infernal Grasp here, so we're just going to play a tap land and hope we get something to divide by 0. Expressive Iteration. Color me vaguely concerned. I do like Sorin against these kind of decks, but we're light on lands. I'm hoping that before the double-faced cards rotate, or right when they rotate, they do another series like them. I do think that they add a lot of very good things to the gameplay of Magic. And yes, they enable broken decks in older formats, but I don't care about older formats. I want my formats to be fun. So keep printing them and break older formats, and then ban the cards that are busted with them. That's my thought, because all Magic decks should have 30 lands in them. That's just the way Magic should be. It's a better format when that's the case. Key to the Archive? How about no? As tempting as Teachings is, I think I'm supposed to get Environmental Sciences instead. Oh, this is just going so stellar. Yowzas! Look at my opponent playing a 4-drop that doesn't matter and me playing a 4-drop that matters. Don't you just love it?
You can deal with my servant. I'm busy.
GG's. I was on Dragons a moment ago. It's a tough matchup. I haven't figured out how to attack control it just yet. Yeah, I don't... I'm still trying to figure out how Dragons is supposed to play against control. It's really hard for Dragons to have reliable hands, I think. So much is built on the idea of needing to have Whelp, and then your curve is just so awkward when you don't have Whelp. And oh, that made Key to the Archives almost look good. Well, I wish I had a Sorin in play that I could uptick to hit a land, but instead, I guess I need to just keep removing this Key to the Archives. I think there's a higher chance that Teachings of the Archaics winds up being good than Mascot Exhibition in this matchup. So our opponent finally sticks this key. And if they have a counterspell here, I could be in trouble. I think they let auto tap or tap them wrong. They should have held up double blue, because I think counterspell is one of the better cards they could hit here. Yeah, Memory Deluge is annoying. Actually, I guess the Break Expectations means I'm sort of punished for having grabbed an island. I would like to go Break Expectations into Sorin here, but I can't. I guess I could Break Expectations into Memory Deluge. That's probably the best thing I can do. That way I'm guaranteed to hit land drops. I'm already fighting from a head-on resources behind on cards standpoint, so I should probably be trying to capitalize on that. I'm being really annoyed if my opponent has Jwari Disruption in hand right now. Okay. Negate's also annoying. Can't really do anything about that, so I think we're just going to get Land drop, land drop? Probably land drop, land drop. Alright, opponent. I'm trying to fight you on a card front. We'll see how that works. Sorin helps. But I need them to not be able to go over the top. What are you looking at your graveyard for? Lier? Lier and is it, huh? Interesting. More keys. Okay. So now we want more hand hate. They get rid of a braid, sure. More lands. They did indeed have Jwari Disruption. Considering removing a 2/3. Decide not to. They do decide to. Okay. Oh, well then. I think I'm just supposed to resolve Discover the Formula while they have the hardest time doing something about it. I suppose I should have left a black for Break Expectations. Oh well. I didn't think about what I could possibly top deck here. So we're going to get rid of Fading Hope. Seagate Restoration seems pretty good. Especially when I get to Break Expectations first. Demonic Tutor, okay. I'm assuming that gets Lier. Lier could actually be a problem. Opponent's on 5 mana... Oh, wait, they... Okay, so they can Demonic Tutor for a... Divide by 0? I don't know. Divide by 0 doesn't seem super great when I have 1 mana Infernal Grasp. Opponent didn't do anything. What does that make the card in their hand? Please show me your hand, opponent. I feel like I've got this game under control, because I'm gonna resolve a Seagate Restoration to draw 8 cards, and that's probably good. I guess they could counter Break Expectations with a negate in hand, and then the negate... No, wait, negate... So the negate doesn't counter Break Expectations, but it also doesn't counter the next spell. So I don't get to take anything if they were to counter the Break Expectations. The card wouldn't get exiled, but it still wouldn't be useful. And I don't have enough mana to divide by 0 and then do something else. Okay. So they divide by 0, and then... I'm not entirely sure if they've thought this through. I guess they had to target something, so it might have well been key. Yeah. I'm going to exile Teachings, because I don't really want my opponent drawing any cards. Yeah, they can't counter with Lier except Divide. I was thinking of it in the sense that like they could put the negate in the graveyard, but yeah, that just isn't relevant because there's a Lier in play. Like I said earlier in the stream, I constantly forget that the opponent's Lier helps me. Opponent drafts a Magistrate Scepter. Cool. Alright, now let's draw 7 cards. Opponent is free to try to negate this if they want to. Do you want to try, opponent? Yeah, they want to try. Okay, fair enough. The game did handle that process correctly. Now play our Marsh and kill Lier. And now opponent doesn't really have anything in hand. They do, however, get to discard the Magistrate's Scepter to key to the Archive, so, like, that's cool for them. Yeah, that's true. They could have cast the Negate and then cast the Divide by Zero on Lier. Or I guess they could have cast the Negate, and then if they hadn't cast the Divide by Zero, they could then like Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix their own Lier to counter the 6-drop. Okay, so let's play Hermit, Stroke, Horror, Duress, Infernal Grasp, Go Blanks. Let's cut Fading Hopes, and Grasp, and probably Vanishing Verses, and definitely Meathook Massacres. I'm uncertain whether I want Vanishing Verses. I mean, I guess they do hit Lier and they hit Hullbreaker Horror. Maybe they're better than Infernal Grasps? I don't know if I'm supposed to be worried about my opponent playing, like, sneaky multicolored creatures. Lands don't affect it. Yeah, alright. I guess Infernal Grasp going to 1 mana because Discover the Formula is possibly a difference that's relevant and might be worth spending 2 life and not exiling? Is that actually like a consideration that makes enough difference that it's worth playing Infernal Grasp instead? Curious. Curious, curious, curious. I'm gonna pretend it is. Yeah, okay, the mascots are sort of a difference. I guess that's another point in Infernal Grasp's favor. They are multicolored, so they cannot be hit by Vanishing Verse. We'll keep this. Hold on to the Duress. Okay, Lier's cool. Potentially gives me something meaningful to do on, like, 7 mana. I have a Disdainful Stroke, so I don't think I need to Duress here. I can hold on to that. I might be able to ruin our Hall of the Storm Giants. That makes me sad. They give us an opportunity to resolve Memory Deluge, which I don't have, so I am sad. And being down a Hall of the Storm Giants is a big difference in some iterations of this late game, though. Sorin. I guess that sort of rewarded me for Duressing last turn. Should I save the Duress until, like, my 6 mana turn? I'm sort of worried about what happens if my opponent windfalls here, but I don't think they're on a Galvanic control list given that first game. No, they're playing Key. They might sideboard into windfalls, though, but I don't think they can do it into open mana here. What's the reason behind not casting Duress straight away? The reason is that in this matchup, the knowledge of what's in my opponent's hand is a very relevant part of Duress. And so I am tempted to wait on it so that the information doesn't expire, and I have more knowledge on, like, I could cast Duress this turn, and then possibly have enough information to just jam a Sorin. And I think that's kind of what I want to do. I'm probably not going to end up doing that because they're probably just going to negate the Duress. Test of Talents the Duress. That's actually pretty inconvenient. I think I still jam the Sorin then, because now the opponent has information on my hand and knows that it's not stellar. They probably end up dividing by 0 the Sorin, which will be a problem. Also, I now no longer have the setup of Lier next turn into Duress. But I'm a little worried that I have no answer to Hullbreaker Horror right now, and so if I were to just keep passing the turn, I might lose to that. And that makes me think that I'm supposed to jam threats. Okay, Divide by Zero isn't the worst thing in the world. They get Teachings, which is pretty bad for me. I do not love how Teachings punishes you for being on the draw. Card designs that make it worse to be on the draw are usually the wrong way around. Okay. Teachings, resolves, sure. Memory Deluge isn't bad. Okay. Alright, so we get to play Sorin, still have Disdainful Stroke up, see if the opponent has another Divide by Zero. They do. Okay, they know about the Disdainful Stroke already. So Hullbreaker Horror is definitely a problem. At least if they play Environmental Sciences, we're knowing they either lack a 7th land or a horror, one of the two. I'm willing to Disdainful Stroke to remove mana advantage here. They can fight over this if they want to. Bye, kitty. But then they're tapped out. I don't think they super care about Sorin. If I top deck a Hand Hate spell and they're tapped out, I get to go Hand Hate, Lier, Hand Hate. That's pretty strong. They test the talents, my Disdainful Strokes. They resolve their key. Okay. So here's where top decking Hand Hate is super powerful. We're gonna hope we do that. We have 4 Hand Hate spells, so it's definitely possible. If I don't, I think I'm probably just playing Sorin and upticking it. I don't think the 2/3 lifelinker is likely to go the distance here, but incremental card advantage might. Opponent considering getting rid of Environmental Sciences by the looks of it, implying they have their 7th land drop here. Yes, they do. Hermit. Oh. Not great because a Key to the Archive's already being down, but interesting. Alright, so we play Sorin. We uptick Sorin. Okay. Answer to Hullbreaker Horror is nice. We play the Hermit. Hold up a Mana Leak. Key to the Archive is not a huge deal yet, and without Teferi isn't likely to become a bigger deal anytime soon. Chris, I finally built an Alchemy deck, and I think it's the best aggro deck in the format. Uses Voldaire and Citadel. One of the blood decks? Okay, the opponent is actually playing Windfall. That's scary. I don't like that. But are they playing Iteration? Because if they're actually playing Iteration and Epiphany, then I feel behind. But if all they do is filter and make some treasures, that I don't think puts me infinitely behind. Definitely having less mana is a big problem. So I am not ahead. But Sorin sits here and upticks, and card advantage is cool. So I think we just kind of keep jamming with our card advantage for the time being. I'd like to find... Maybe I should have Memory Deluged at sorcery speed there to try to find Hand Hate. Because I am sort of scared of Galvanic Iteration Epiphany here. I guess Malevolent Hermit is still doing a decent job of making it awkward for them to cast too many Galvanics. They're currently 1 mana short of double Galvanic into Epiphany. So if I Memory Deluge and they Test of Talents it, I think I'm supposed to divide by 0 my own Memory Deluge. Most likely. Alright, opponent gets rid of Disdainful Stroke knowing about the Memory Deluge. That's interesting. Okay, then what's your response if I try to cast Memory Deluge, opponent? I assume that means you have Test of Talents. Oh, just normal counterspell? Okay, well that means I can still flash back the Memory Deluge. I don't think that's worth divide by 0ing yet. Alright, and Sorin continues upticking. I'm willing to pay life for cards.
Blood for knowledge. A fair trade.
And Sorin, currently 13 damage at opponent's face, is, you know, kind of a threat. Discover the formula, huh, opponent? I don't think I'm into that. If I divide by 0 this, I at least eat up a lot of their mana next turn. I can't Malevolent Hermit this in any meaningful way, I don't think. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to put a tax on their mana here. Yeah, I would currently say in this game between my opponent having played Key to the Archives and me having played Sorin, the Sorin has been a lot better, which is roughly where my expectations were. I think I'm actually willing to get rid of this Forsaken Crossroads and hope to hit a Hand Hate spell. Don't. Hit a Restoration that isn't super great, unfortunately. Awkward. I think we untap with that. I want to play the Lier as a threat here, weirdly enough. Because a Lier attack is lethal currently. Well, you know, provided that our Sorin gets to ultimate as well. Opponent has Disdainful Stroke and is considering spending treasures on it. Oh, has a counterspell and is spending treasures on it. Interesting. I could Hermit that. Or I could save Hermit to tax... No, I think I'm supposed to Hermit that. My opponent's going to draw 1 card and resolve Discover the Formula. And then has to answer Lier. They do have a lot of mana, and now they have a pretty good number of cards. But I have a Divide by 0 and an Infernal Grasp, so... Alright, they played a land. They have 3 hits. If that hit Lier, then they have 5 mana to work with, and a Fading Hope, and some Divide by 0s. So I would kill their Lier with Infernal Grasp, but they would get to bounce my Sorin. Yep. Alright. Well, they have options, but they have limited mana. How many times have I ultimated Sorin? More than you'd think. It turns out to be a relevant clock and control mirrors a strange percentage of the time. I assume the opponent Fading Hope's Lier and Divide by Zero's Sorin in this spot. Oh, probably like 2 or 3 times with the Sorin. I have not yet played that many games of this format. They could also leave the Sorin in play. Just remove the Lier. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Break expectations at long last. That's a good draw. So, let's see. I think we just start with Infernal Grasp. Well, no. We start with upticking Sorin, because I don't want them to divide by 0 Sorin in response to Infernal Grasp. I want to punish them for having waited. I will pay life to put card in hand instead of on top of my deck, and then I will pay life. I guess the life cost of Infernal Grasp actually is sort of relevant with Sorin. It's only not relevant in the sense that, like, if I'm upticking Sorin enough to do, like, 14 damage to myself, then I'm probably winning anyway. The keys have been sort of impressive in the sense that opponent getting a mana advantage is really relevant, but control mirrors get fought on a couple of different axes, and you only really need one axis to be massively in your favor to win. Alright, let's see. What you got in that hand, opponent? I kind of forgot they could bounce their Lier. Oh, that's an annoying number of actually good cards. Alright, well, let's take the Lier. And let's also take the card draw spell and leave them with a Hullbreaker Horror that isn't the scariest thing in the world. It's a little scary, but not the scariest thing in the world. Break Expectations is a good Magic card. Spike Pit Trap, actually annoying because that kills Lier and triggers Hullbreaker Horror. Pretty rude, opponent. I still have to go for the card advantage, though. I do agree that Iteration and Windfall tend to be most of the card advantage that you would want, yeah. Do I make this land drop? Do I want to cast Seagate Restoration at any point? So assuming my Lier dies here, although that's going to be harder because they didn't flash in Spike Pit Trap with that floating mana, I guess I still have Memory Deluge and a bunch of Sorins, so I can probably get away with playing this land instead of casting it. For sure. Ugh, alright, Expressive Iteration's a good draw. I think they might be making a mistake here if they don't kill Lier with the trap, though. If they give me the ability to just play Lier and then Infernal Grasp the Horror, I think that's a mistake. No, so their plan is to use Spike Pit Trap as a flash way to bounce my removal spell for the Horror. Maybe that's good enough? Bounce the Lier instead. Oh, so they're actually going to just try to kill me with the plow. Oh, alright. Does that actually work? I think that actually works. Huh. So potentially, I needed to let them have the Discover the Formula then? Curious. I'm 1 mana short of flashing back this Infernal Grasp, huh? Alright, so I need Sorin to uptick and hit the other Infernal Grasp then. And I need them to not have drawn an instant.
Consider yourself fortunate.
Downticking the Sorin doesn't do enough because they have a way to remove the creature in play already. Alright. Huh. Okay. I neglected to think about how Break Expectations giving my opponent possibly flashcards was actually an out for them there. That's super fascinating. Think you'd take Hullbreaker for certain? Maybe once they got the 1 mana flash card, I was supposed to realize that that being a Hullbreaker Horror trigger was a big deal. Malevolent Hermit. Is that actually relevant? It is good against Key to the Archive early on, and Unexpected Windfall. That probably means I'm supposed to keep it in on the play, but I wonder if I was supposed to get rid of it on the draw. I could also... I don't think I'm supposed to play Hullbreaker Horror. I think I want to play Vanishing Verse over it. And my logic for that is I'm not going to be ahead on mana in this game, but I might be ahead on resources, and so I should probably play more efficient ways to answer their resources rather than to try to win the game, because I think I'm supposed to try to go for the long game. This hand's really bad, but it's got lands, so I think I keep. We could have ultimated Sorin, yeah, but I think that that was actually worse, because Sorin was also representing a way to kill Lier, technically. Which theoretically sometimes matters. Drawing both of the Seagate Restorations already is kind of awkward. Okay, we have a Sorin. That's something we could choose to do next turn. Do we want to? I don't know. I don't like playing my mana out here. Or I like playing my mana out. I don't like playing my Sorin out, I don't think, into open mana. I think I'm going to try to hide the fact that I have double black. Once again, I had to play Hall early and they get to Field of Ruin that, which is kind of annoying. Wow. That is so... Oh, it's just assuming I don't have a counterspell, and I immediately draw a counterspell. Opponent must have felt super far behind if they were willing to do that Unexpected Windfall there. Okay. Well, what you got, opponent? Do you just jam your Discover the Formula because I didn't have a counterspell last turn? No, you're willing to do Unexpected Windfall. Which means if I Discover the Formula and they have a 2-mana counterspell, I just lose. Alright, I'm insanely far behind at this point because I haven't drawn a Hand-Hate spell or a counterspell. Yeah, no, they're getting too far ahead on resources for me to have a good way around this. Could Discover the Formula here, gives the opponent an opening to resolve Discover the Formula, and then I'm just super far behind. Bummer. Okay, Break Expectations is something, though it's definitely too late. Test of Talents, huh? Opponent gets full information. Radical. Huh. I could Jwari Disruption, break expectations. Puts it in my graveyard. Yeah, mostly I just can't win here. I think I have to discover the formula in response and hope they don't have anything else they can do here. Nope, they also have Test of Talents number 2. Yeah, that's me getting kind of hard nut drawed upon. Unexpected Windfall is definitely a card that can beat Control. I don't think they played it correctly. They should have taken it slower and played around counterspells, but opponent was willing to fall very far behind against counterspells, and I didn't happen to have any, so it worked. It did work. Okay. Well, you have total information, opponent. Do you also have Disdainful Strokes? Yes. Okay. And I would like to scry Vanishing Verse. I can't really afford. I need to find card draw spells before they find more counter spells. Okay. Falling behind on every axis. Not a good place to be. Key to the Archive, sure. Would like that to not hit Time Warp. Anything else that it wants to hit is fine. They get rid of Expressive Iteration. That's good, in the sense that that's not a card I want them to have. It's bad in the sense that it's a card they think they don't need. I don't have any hand hate spells in my graveyard here. Opponent has Disdainful Stroke, sure. That's a problem. Okay, very far behind on cards, very far behind on mana, very far behind on the fact that the opponent's cards are cheaper right now. Ooh, opponent has more card advantage, continues to be a problem. No real consideration for Divide on Lier because I don't actually have anything for Lier to do. The fact that my opponent was willing to use a counterspell on it is actually sort of a good thing for me in this situation. It just doesn't make me happy. Alright. Hullbreaker Horror, sure. Try to remove that. Opponent knew about the Infernal Grasp, so we expect... Do they choose to bounce anything? No. Okay. I need you to not have more stuff, opponent. Opponent has more stuff. That's a problem. Alright. So I take 14 damage, go to 3, top deck a removal spell for Horror, and still die. So I need to top deck 2 removal spells and need my opponent to have nothing. So Memory Deluge now. Into... Oh, I literally don't even have removal spells that are good enough, huh? So activate, Hall, Memory Deluge, nothing. No, I don't know what I can do. I guess Malevolent Hermit was actually a way to block a Hall. I still need to dodge an untapped land? I need my opponent to not draw an untapped land or any spell. Huh? That sounds difficult, but okay. How many tap lands are likely to be in my opponent's deck, and how many are likely to be in their hand? Oh. Jwari Disruption is a tap land that I would have liked them to draw, but them having it now is not something I can beat. No hand hate spells, no card draw spells, and no counter spells at the beginning of the game. That seems pretty unlikely. I feel like if the way they played that with the Unexpected Windfall, I had an opening to beat them with any of those cards, but not with the mid-range removal in Sorin and Liers. Bummer. I think that I'm probably just generally unfavored, although the existence of hand hate spells makes me not completely unfavored. Probably in like the 55-60 percentile range for them, just because Unexpected Windfall is that good. But without Epiphany and without Galvanic Iteration, I don't think they're absurdly favored.